morning and welcome to...
Good morning.
Welcome to... Well, no, I'm just laughing because we have the invisible fourth person here. Welcome to Board Game Smorgasbord. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Camilla.
Z just finished eating breakfast. But this, because we can't eat breakfast on this show because it's not Board Game Breakfast.
Yeah, no.
It's Board Game Smorgasbord.
If it was, I'd be having a spread. A legit spread.
An omelet.
We should have
a crepe.
Board game charcuterie board.
I don't want to get everyone excited, but in a few weeks we'll be at a few weeks. It is actually a few weeks. World Series of Board Gaming.
We will.
We'll be eating crepes. I'm eating those lemon blueberry crepes. Remember them, Roy?
Oh, at the place under the with the
Paris?
Well, we're staying at that hotel,
beneath
so they're
Paris.
just there.
Oh.
It's great.
Wait, where are we staying?
We're staying at Bali.
Oh,
It's connected to Paris, so you just...
Got it.
You don't know Europe very well, do you?
Bali and France are next to each other.
Right next to each other, okay?
Welcome to the show, folks. We want to do some shout-outs to some of our Kickstarter backers. We want to say thanks to Anna, Quinn, and Charlie Haberstadt.
Salute.
Thank you.
Marcus Brisman, official secretary of the Stupid Podcast with Mike and Dan.
Official secretary?
That's what it says here.
Secretary.
Scott Mocker, Anna and Thomas Major, Stephen Koch, and Corey Bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
I'm
pretty sure.
Okay. Z's right.
You've been practiced before.
I did not practice. I also did not practice the name of the painter today, and I'm a little worried about that. I meant to look it up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm so
That's why I
excited.
only pick American painters.
That's it.
No,
John Smith.
Yep.
All right, folks. Don't forget, we're all excited here because we're going to the retreat. Retreat's closed, but you can come to Dice Tower Cruise. We're down to 40 rooms in Dice Tower Cruise. And Dice Tower West, we're down to 4,000. No, but come to Dice Tower West. Lots of cool events that are coming up your way. Or also, we just mentioned World Series of Board Gaming. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Me, Camilla, Z, and Roy will be there, and it's going to be a blast. Or what would it be? Epic.
Epic. Both my words.
Yes.
Both my words.
Well, no, that's why you're going to be there. Okay, so other than that, we're going to get started here with Board Games Smorgasbord. I don't think there's any other news that I'm supposed to be talking about, so...
Except the news.
So
Let's
tell
go to the
me all the
news.
things.
All right. First of all, we got boring business news.
Let's talk about it.
So Embracer Group, they're the company that owns Asmodee.
Oh.
They are based in Sweden. They bought Asmodee in 2021 for $3.1 billion.
Billion is more than a million, right?
It is. That is
quite a few zeros.
3,100 millions. It is a million thousands. 3,100,000.
That's a lot of thousands.
Okay, anyhow.
That's about as high up as I go. I only understand thousands speak.
Anyway, so this other company called Savvy invested $1 billion into this Embracer company in June. It caused some frictions. And unfortunately, they are going to be, there's a big economic fallout thing going on. And it says they're going to be restructuring, laying off 17,000 employees working for this group.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know.
17,000 people?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that's going to affect Asmodee. Asmodee is doing well. It says the first quarter sales for Asmodee were $292.9 million. So that's better than last year, which was $245.2 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last year they were really struggling.
Yeah.
They mentioned some games that were doing well. Lord of the Rings, set for Magic the Gathering, did really well.
Yes. Oh, wait. They count Wizards as theirs?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not realize
So
that.
that's making a lot of money. They also mentioned
now, yeah.
Anarchy Pancakes from Exploding Kitten, which I guess they own. Fantasy Flight's Marvel Dagger and Shatterpoint. They said those were strong releases.
Really?
So, yeah.
They specifically singled those out because the other two things are like known, proven things. Magic the Gathering, Exploding Kittens. But Dagger is just one game under Fantasy Flight. That's very interesting. It must be doing well.
And they also anticipate a strong performance from their upcoming board games like Ticket to Ride Legacy and Star Wars Unlimited, the CCG.
Yeah.
So they also said they won, I guess, all the Spiel des Jahres awards. Because Mysterium Kids is theirs, so was Challengers, And Unlock. They nominated. They mentioned Unlock because
Okay.
Unlock got a special award. Okay. So. So they haven't said anything. Asmodee has not announced layoffs. If you're working for Asmodee watching, don't worry yet. But we'll see what happens. Okay. Speaking of Hasbro has an upcoming event on September 12th, which is like 2 weeks. Women Innovators of Play. This is a free online event that you have to be 18 plus. Sorry, young women innovators. But you get to listen to Elizabeth Hargrave, Tanya Thompson, and a bunch of other folks. You can go check it out somewhere.
It's an online thing?
It is an online thing.
Yeah, it's like online seminar
It's a
based.
virtual event.
Yeah.
Okay,
A lot
cool.
of like CEOs and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not
are speaking.
It says the goals allow participants to connect with and learn from global women innovators in regards to their experiences, the process of pitching a new idea, what makes an idea right for the mass market, and the journey of a product through the Hasbro pipeline. So,
That seems cool. I like that.
yeah, but keep that in mind. That's the focus. Like, you're not going to go in there and be like, I'm going to run a Kickstarter. I don't know
No,
that
no,
that's
right.
Right,
what
yeah,
they're going to
yeah.
help you
No.
with.
Very different thing.
All right, the rest of this is games. Here we go.
Right.
Let's go. If
Dude,
I see even one Viking game, though, I'm sick of Viking game. Oh!
Due to popular demand,
Ooh.
PAX Viking Jr. I was talking to Mike, and he's like, who asked for this? I Had Games is known
Mike
for making...
Delisio asked for this, okay? Silently asked for this. That's what happens when you love cats so much. They start putting them in everything.
Iron Games makes very heavy games, for the most part. PAX... Is PAX Premiere from them?
I don't know.
Anyhow, this is designed by John Manker, and it was put out in 2021. PAX Vikings was put out in 2021, sorry. And now we got PAX Vikings Jr.
That's a super nice cover, I will say that. I
Right.
love the focal point of the kitty cat in the helmet with the butterfly, but then you see the ships in the background.
Yeah, what you don't see is if you pan the camera around, there's flames and people screaming.
That's probably true.
And
Yeah.
the cat's like,
Interesting.
I don't care about any of that.
I very much dislike that cover. I'm dead serious. I'm like really surprised that you guys like it. I do not like it at all.
Because you don't like cats? Because
No.
I can
It
agree
has
with
nothing to
that.
do with that. No, I just feel like there's so much dead space in the clouds. It's I like the focal, the different focuses like you're saying. You can see the background, but I find it extremely bland. Like my eyes gloss over.
I think the name is hard to read.
I think that, but maybe it needs to be bigger. There's just so much dead space. It's like,
I like
those
Dead Space.
ashes falling. I guess is that what that is? In the
Little
I don't know.
leaves.
Are
right?
they?
Yeah.
Those are butter. That's a butterfly.
Yeah, but the rest is leaves.
They're also
I
butterflies.
think the background is
know.
fine. It's all there. It's just very
Yeah.
wispy. I don't know.
I just don't like it. No, I
Well,
strongly
maybe you like
dislike
this next background. Dance of the Ibexes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
there you go.
god.
How about that one? You think that's a good cover?
That's a cover.
So this is from Wolfgang Kramer, and it is part of the 6 Nymph series.
Okay.
So it's a lighter style game. You have a handful of tiles with numbers from 1 to 99. You'll pick one, put it face down, reveal them. We put them in numerical order on the 4 rows on the board. If you place it in a negative space or a cow pie, you score that many points. So there's a few other rules, and it's coming to retail in September, which means Essen.
I do like that it's from Platy. I do like their look, their style. They're an interesting little company, doing some neat reprints.
Patrician, speaking of reprints,
Oh, wow.
the definitive version of Patrician is coming from Calliope of all.
This is a blast from the past. Actually, I saw this at Gen Con.
Oh, were they showing it off there?
They were showing it off.
This new one.
Well,
I-
yeah.
Okay.
This is a game, since we talked about this, I was thinking, I might play this next week at the retreat. I really like Patrician. It is a tower building game where there's a bunch of cards in the middle, and you have to take the first card on your turn, but you can put tower pieces on the rest to take a different card.
Okay,
some games.
I like that mechanism.
But then I love it, but then you use those tower pieces to build towers. But there will be, sometimes a card will show up and it's like -3 points. No one wants that card. But
But then you
eventually you're
get-
like, I could build 2 towers right now.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
And the tower pieces are of different colors, and some colors are rarer, and then they give you more points. It's a pretty simple game, but I really like it. Michael Schacht is not as famous as Knizia, but he's pretty prolific, and this is a good game. I played against him once online. Doesn't matter who won.
Yeah, I like this one. This is one of the better Michael Schott games, I would say. His games tend to be very, very simple, and this is a good, clean, simple one. I like it a lot. I am curious to see what they changed because the font and the look of it looks pretty much the same.
Well, unfortunately, you're going to find out. I say unfortunately because it's still a long ways off. The Kickstarter's coming in October.
So is it a reprint
Kickstarter.
or a redesign?
It's a reprint, but it's going to add a 2-player module, and it adds other modules and yada yada.
Yeah, this
Reprint-
designer's
reprint
always
plus.
fiddling with his designs. He's always changing little things here and
I
there.
respect that, though.
Yeah.
All right, our next game is called Dr. Frankenstein, also from Michael Schacht, although the doctor is very, very tiny. I guess he's a doctor barely. I just thought that's a weird design choice for the...
Oh.
Huh. I wonder if this is a reprint or a new game.
This is a reprint of a game called Frankenstein. But it changes some stuff up. It has new artwork and has 2 to 4 players. I think maybe the original one was only 2. Anyway, you're trying to manipulate a 5x10 rack of different body parts to get the ones that you need. You have to get 5 sets of ingredients to win the game. This one's coming straight to retail, and I like that little company, that Truffle.
I do
their
like
stuff.
them too.
It sounded kind of abstract when I was looking at it. Like you're just trying to move the body parts around to get them in a matching row or column, and if you do that, then you collect that body part.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, it seems pretty abstract, but yeah, cute though.
Now this next cover I love.
It's probably going to have too much empty space or something.
Element.
Oh, look at that.
That's
She hates it.
The only thing I don't love about this is I feel like, for some reason, to me, the title doesn't mesh with that cover. But I love that cover. This is designed by Vacharis Thanom Sub. It's from Taiwan, DNR board game. And you are dimensional travelers trying to summon souls from ancient shrines by gathering emitted spiritual energy.
Yo, it's like Ghostbusters, kind of like. It's like that one show on TV where people go to spooky places and they're like, "Did you feel that?"
I really like that cover.
I like, yeah, that's a
Just
piece
a
of
nice
art.
piece of art, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it's art.
I agree that the title,
Really
though,
pretty.
and its style
Yeah.
doesn't quite mesh with the style of the cover
Yeah,
painting.
it feels a little off, right?
Right.
I don't know what I don't know. That's not a bad font. It feels like a sci-fi font.
I guess that's what I was
almost.
trying to figure out. Is it the font?
Maybe that's
Is
it.
it that the coloring is so smooth in it? Is it the harsh lines? I don't know, but you're right. It does feel separate. I like
Yeah, I
the
think that-
background with the little firefly things in it, to give that separation. But yeah, anyway, I'm
I
sorry.
think that's what it is. That font is sci-fi. That cover is mysticism,
Yeah.
fantasy, if anything. You know
But
what
the
I
way,
mean?
right, the way you were describing it sounds more sci-fi of a game. So yeah, it'll be
cool.
interesting. But
I just looked this up on Board Game Geek, and there is no artist done.
what?
I wonder if that's AI.
I hate it. It's terrible.
All right, next game, Tipperary, I think.
Tipperary, yeah.
Tipperary. Okay, this is from Lookout Games, so that Asmodee. And you are building up Irish County with landscape tiles. A magic stone circle decides which tile can be chosen for the build, and you're combining them to collect sheep, castles, and whiskey. 2 to 5 players, 45
Love it.
minutes, $42. This is coming out again, Acid.
Gunter Burkhart's another one of those, like, sort of slow and steady designers, tried
Yeah.
and true, you know what I mean?
It's a nice cover. It's a peaceful cover.
What do you think of that cover?
I think it's non-offensive. Yeah.
It's non-offensive, Tom.
No, I do like that. I
Not
like
offended.
it. I think it's a good one.
All right. 1902. This is a series from Looping Games where they have a bunch of games that are just dates. I've played a total of 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I keep meaning to play more of them because they pack.
this one.
These are small. These are basically tiny epic games. They're tiny epic Euro games, I guess would be the good way to put it, because you open these boxes, there's a ton of game in there. This one definitely is based on A Trip to the Moon, the first science fiction movie because that scene is straight from it. That moon with the guy in it, and that moon is that movie's public domain now. It's 1902.
That's
Yeah, you're trying to
neat,
be
okay.
the best movie maker here.
Oh, what an interesting theme. And again, it's set in that year. Being the best movie maker in that year. That's a cool looking concept, and I like that cover too. Should be in black and white, really, but I get that.
Well, that's the thing. They're talking about one of the things you do is you are hand painting the frames with color.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. I like it.
All right, next we have time division. And I asked Mike to stick another slide in here, but he forgot. I was going to show you what that looked like upside down. I flipped it upside down to see if it worked the other way, and it does.
What do you mean if it worked the other way?
Yes.
Well, like how well it looks.
Yeah, I mean, it
Upside
looks
down.
like it's like got both writing both ways, the logo both ways.
Yeah, but sometimes games look like that, but then they're clearly still one way.
Right, they're
Yeah,
still
yeah,
meant to
yeah,
look good
right.
one way only. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
think
this
it's
is
cool.
a two-player card game. First-time designer Alexander Schreiber, but it's from Heidelbar. And this is coming out at Essen. Again, it has 3 decks of cards, Ancient Egypt, the Dark Ages, and the 1980s.
Ancient
I love
Egypt,
those.
the 1980s. Okay.
And the Dark Ages. Anyway, you're drawing 3 from these 18-card decks. You give 1 to yourself, 1 to your opponent, and the final one goes to an independent stack. After you do this, you have 6 cards. And then you're playing a card back and forth. You're trying to play the higher card. And there's different zones and yada yada. It sounds really like up my alley. I love that whole idea.
So it's a
of-
little bit like Biblios with the card splitting, it sounds like. I like that.
But then it goes to like war. Is that what I'm understanding? You said,
It
but
might
then
be
you
a
just
trick-taking thing.
maybe okay, but only 6 cards is going to be short.
Yeah, but I like.
Yeah, but you play 50 rounds of that.
Oh, that's
don't.
right. Yeah.
All right, this next theme cracks me up. Open season. This is
Ooh.
coming from Sit Down. And if you are a monster in this game, collecting human heads.
I love
So if
that
you look
so
behind,
far.
Oh my
see
gosh.
them, they're human heads on the wall. You're trying to have a fabulous collection. They've disturbed you and your fellow monsters for too long, so now it's time to eliminate them. Bonus points for babies. That does not say that.
Gosh.
I'm trying to ruin it for you. Anyhow, it's you're collecting
What?
cards.
Sit
I
down.
know.
Sit down. Okay.
What?
Usually their games are very speed oriented. This one does not sound like it is. This is coming out February of next year, but I just think this theme is hilarious.
I figured out how to rotate the image just as you were changing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out too.
whoa.
no, I think it works. Oh, I like that better.
What you like better, the wolf or the wow? Everybody's getting dizzy.
The wolf is like right on the borderline, the anthropomorphic that I don't like.
Wolf.
So I like the wolf better because it's a little more
Anyway, it's kind of neat.
sci-fi.
Cool.
Okay.
This looks good. Yeah.
All right, want to see a bad font? Let's take a look at Pyramid Dice.
Pyramid dice. Mid.
Pyramid dice. Yes.
Mid.
Like it's so it's kind of cool. Like, oh, if this looks like the kind of thing that in high school you drew it, you're like, look at this cool pyramid font I made.
Sure.
Oh,
Like, great,
yeah.
but nobody can read it.
Look, if they don't use it on anything else, I'm okay with it.
Okay, I think that's good because then it becomes iconic. I knew what it said, but I wouldn't want to have to read in it because my mind went to pyramid dice. But if I have to read additional things like the cards or the titles like in the actual game, the card titles in the game, it would be way too much. I don't want to sound anything out.
They might want you to say a pyramid dice because it is kind of pyramid ice. Pyramid ice.
That's what I'm calling it. Pyramid Ice.
Nice.
Pyramid ice.
This is coming from Ares Games.
Ares.
And Art.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Anyway, you are using dice and card play to have a great tomb that you've built for
I
yourself.
love getting a good tomb. The thing is, I don't get to enjoy it.
You do.
All right, the next game is the same game.
Wait,
this
what?
one,
Oh, this one is.
This
Oh,
one-
I
this one
got
looks
you.
like it came from the Electric Company back in the day, or Schoolhouse Rocks almost.
Yes.
I had the hardest time. This kind of reminds me of like the game called The Game. When I was reading it for the podcast, I really struggled because I kept wanting to say the name of the game, but I'd be like, in this game, the same game. I'm not being sarcastic. Like I couldn't not come off salty when I was saying it. I really despise the title.
This is from though Wolfgang Warsch,
Wolfgang Warsch, who is
the best designer in the world.
well, we'll find that out later today to see if he's on your list.
Number 3.
Now, Wolfgang Warsch actually has fallen off the scene for a few years. He had
Yeah, because he came out with 6 designs in the same year.
he was mega popular. No, he's done a few minor things, but this looks interesting. I love this style. I don't know. I agree with you. I don't like the name because it's going to be super confusing. Do you want to play the same game? And people will be like, yes. And you put the game away.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, you said the same game. I'm like,
Right.
You got.
Yeah.
or you could bring this out and put it on the table and say, would you like to play the same game? People say yes. You're like, all right. And then you start playing the same game again.
Uh-huh.
All right. That joke wore out really fast. Let's move on.
No, I understand both ways it works. Yeah, you can replay one or play this.
Exo World Survival. This is coming from Starling Games and looks like 60 other games that have come out before.
I didn't want to be the first one to say it, but this screams sci-fi, the sci-fi board game.
I mean, it's not that it's a bad
I don't
cover.
dislike
the thing
it.
about those guys, though, they don't look like they fit at all. Are they ready to play football?
I think they're the Munchkins from Wizard of Oz.
Don't they not look like
do.
they're in space? Am I missing something here? They don't look like they're wearing suits.
But I mean, I guess it depends on what the world is. Is it one they can survive on? They don't
Let's
need
see
a
what
suit.
it is.
Still put on some suits.
Climate change is irreversible. Earth is in danger.
Yeah.
We have colony ships with 30 cryopreserved colonists that have been sent out to find a new home.
That's cold.
It's a cooperative colony building game.
Cooperative.
Yep. Designer is Juan Pablo Vargas. Sequel? Is that sequel part of his name, or is it a sequel to something else?
I don't think it was a sequel.
The illustration is done by a Fantasy
Is it
Flight.
sequel or sequel?
It might be
Sequel, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you can buy it right now. It's on the website.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Okay.
It was kinda
I
giving-
don't love that cover, and it really looks generic, but
Yeah.
I don't hate, like, if you took everything else off that cover, and including the people, I would put that on my wall as some art. I think it looks great. The people kind of throw it off for me a little. And that extra blue thing in the middle isn't helping the picture.
I think that's what it is to me. I think it's the font and the title and the way they did that. I feel like it cheapens it, makes it look generic. But that being said, everything they're saying about it are things that I like in games. It was kind of giving me Unsettled vibes, as it was describing. And I was like, I like that. So it's one that I would like to try. I think, unfortunately, the cover isn't really doing what I hope the game is going to be justice. So.
All right, this next cover, I love this cover. It's called Cookie Champion. And that guy's apparently about to kill you with cookies because it looks like he's throwing them right at you.
Eat the cookie.
It
this
is.
is the cookie version of dice flying out of the cover.
It really is, right? And the thing is, the game isn't about cooks attacking people. It's a cooking championship.
Yeah, but they are energized.
Eagle Griffin. Yeah, this is definitely like if a cooking show was made as an anime. They're like, wah, and a cake for them.
I know.
Yeah, like the icing that
I will make this cake. Anyway, you're trying to be the best cookie champion, which I love. I like that theme, Eagle Griffin. The design team is Stefan and Louis Miles, who did Rococo and Valparaiso. So they got...
Yeah, and it seemed like it was an interesting decisions in this from the description of, are you going to sell the cookies to get money, to get better ingredients, to, build yourself up, or are you actually entering cookies into the championship?
What about-
So you're trying to balance two different things.
What about eating the cookies? Is that enough?
Whoops, I have nothing to enter.
But I feel great. All right. This next game, River of Gold. So there's a new company out called Office Dog. Office Dog is yet another studio from Asmodee.
Oh, it is Legend.
Who is, their thing is they will take games and match them with IPs. which sounds cool. Then the first IP is Legend of the Five Rings. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, I guess it is an IP, but it's a gaming IP. Anyway, River of Gold.
That's their objective. That's what they do. Office Dog. Gosh, talk about sounding soulless. Like, we'll take a game, we'll match it to an IP that kind of fits. Office Dog. It's just like, I don't know, that just seems very workman-like.
Well,
not very inspired.
The head of it is Brian, the guy who used to play games with us with Fantasy Fight Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, so
He is very inspired. He's like an energetic, inspired guy. But this sounds sort of businesslike.
but this game, I looked at it, looks like a decently medium weight Euro game about going down the river. It looks really good. The pictures of the game, we're just showing you the cover. The cover looks good, but the game looks good too.
Are you looking at? Oh no.
When they showed it to me, I had a chance to see it at Gen Con. I went up and looked at it. I was like, that looked fun. So I'm hoping.
They have done one previous Legend of the Five Rings board game. There's obviously the living card game and all of that, and the trading card game. But they did a board game, I forget what it was called, and it was a solid board game that Fantasy Flight came out with. So I'm glad that they're using the IP here to do something else. I guess they do still, this company has access to it now, so that's good.
And last piece of news, Marvel Crisis Protocol is getting updated. So there's a new set coming out from Atomic Mass Games called Marvel Crisis Protocol Earth's Mightiest Core Set. So this is a new version of the game. It came out in 2019 originally, so it's 4 years old. And so they're updating all the included characters. They're adding more dice mitigation and using 4 affiliations instead of 2. None of this I understand. Well, I'm just reading it.
You know what dice mitigation means?
Right, but I don't know what that means to the game, right?
In the scope of the game, right?
The reason I haven't played this game, it looks interesting, and I love the idea of superheroes. It's just, well, first of all, the miniatures, you have to build them. You have to build them and paint them and put them together. And I wish if it was prepackaged miniatures, I'd be all over this. But it is ye miniatures game with measuring and there's tons of, you look.
Oh wow.
The cards have all these different powers. It's a straight up miniatures game. In our game store, it gets
Marvel
played a
Warhammer?
lot, huh?
Like Marvel Warhammer.
Yeah, but with fewer characters, but yes.
Okay.
And you can do things like pick up cars. We have one guy in our game group who came for a while who had like just oodles of terrain. He didn't have just the characters, but he had like painted vehicles and set up the terrain. It looked neat. And he offered to teach it 80 times. And I said, no, 80 times. But
Okay.
Very lifestyle. Fun.
it is lifestyle, and that's another reason.
It's expensive, too, from what I understand.
Yes. But miniatures games like this often are.
Well, they become lifestyle and the thing that you put into. And can you buy them one off, kind of like, I want this faction, this character, this. Okay, interesting.
And that's where it gets expensive because you're like, I would like the Hulk, and the Hulk was like $50 to $60, and you're like, oh, that's one miniature. I better play with this guy a lot.
Well, especially looking at some others, and it's like, and here you get 10 in this one core set or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. That's the news. We're back.
Whoops.
Are we back?
We back.
Okay. So today we're talking. I went to Washington, D.C. last week and I had a chance to go to the Modern Art Museum, which I did not particularly care for. But then I went to the National Art Museum, and I was like, oh, wow, I recognize some of these paintings. So I thought we'd talk about our favorite, I guess classical art is the best way to do it, because if I buy art for my house, I buy very modern art. I go to Gen Con or other geek conventions. I go to the art section, I look at stuff, and I go, I love that. And I honestly like that stuff a lot, but I'm discluding that for the purposes of this because...
Just a piece of art where you can buy from someone who just painted it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, again, I'm not trying to put those people down at all.
No,
I think
it's great.
better. We're picking pieces of art today that you can easily look up online. Like all three of my pieces of art have their own Wikipedia entry.
I think mine as well. Mine are very, very recognizable. Like
actually, one of mine doesn't.
I felt quite uncultured doing this list. I was like, famous pieces of art.
Oh, I did that. We all did that.
I know. I was like, but I was like,
But
mine are very recognizable.
That being said,
but I also knew all of them beforehand.
That being said, I agree. I do feel fairly uncultured.
Yes.
Like I'll when I go to an art museum, I'll be like, and then I'll see a piece of art, and I'm like, oh, I really like that one.
Yeah. And then you read the
for a while.
description and you're like, nope, got none of that out of it. Move on. Yeah.
All right, I think, Camille, I think you're first.
I'm a first. All right, I'm going to go with The Great Wave off Kanagawa. This is
Nice.
by
Classic.
I thought you were going to
Hakusai.
pick this one.
Me? I did.
Z.
Oh. I really like this. I think one thing that I really like is just big bodies of water and the power that they have. That's why I love kayaking so much, open water kayaking. I just love being surrounded by all that power. I love dams for the same reason. I think that this captures it really well. It's a very comforting picture to me. So I like it.
That's comforting?
It's very comforting.
This
It's
is a
just
classic. This is a true classic.
so good.
This is probably better known than better known than two of my three.
Really? Oh, well, I think this is probably the least known of my three, so.
Wow. No, that
Like I
picture is
said,
like
I know.
incredibly well known.
Oh, I'm like I said, I'm highly uncultured.
I just looked at this picture yesterday not because of this, but because someone was talking about rogue waves, which was a possibility with the hurricane that just came through.
Okay.
There's a lot more rogue waves, and they were saying this painting might have been a rogue wave, not a tsunami. People always say it's a tsunami, but it might have just been a rogue wave. And
Yeah,
then
that makes sense.
I was like, oh, yeah, I know what painting they're talking about. So, anyhow.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is my favorite artist, but I can only pick one of his pictures. So I'm picking The Shiner from Norman Rockwell. So this is the one that doesn't have its own Wikipedia entry. But I went and read the story behind this, actually, because he wanted to paint this, and he wanted to paint a picture of a kid with a black eye, but that was a hard thing to find.
Yeah.
He can't go to a school and be like, hey, who here just got punched?
Right.
But he finally found this girl, and I guess he had someone send a picture of a black eye and he painted it. But he told the girl, when she took this picture, when he painted her in this position, he told her to imagine that she had just punched her brother. So that is this. I don't know. This picture has always amused me. I've seen this picture in 3 different principal's offices.
What?
Really?
It's not that I'm often in the principal's office, okay?
Wow.
No, but like,
That's,
is that okay? I don't think you put this in a principal's office.
It's a funny picture.
I bet it would just kind of make them smile, kind of for kids, just kind of set the tone, be like, oh, okay, has a sense of humor, kind of. I can see it setting kids
I think
at
a
ease.
child will not think that.
You don't think so? I think it would put them
The
at
one I
ease.
almost picked, other than this one, is the kid sitting on the stool in the bar, in the diner with the policeman looking at him, and he has like this backpack there.
I don't know if I
think
know that one.
I've seen
His
this
most
one.
famous one is probably the Thanksgiving dinner with grandma putting out the turkey. Anyway, Norman Rockwell, I love all his stuff.
Yeah,
But we
he's
also made a rule here that we can only pick one per
Yes.
artist.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so my number 3 is Georgia O'Keeffe, and that is going to be Cow Skull, Red, White, and Blue.
Ugh. Sorry, good choice.
She has she's probably one of my favorite artists, actually, like top 3 artists. And she's got a lot that are, not something I'm going to show here, but they're suggestive more than anything. But I like the simplicity of her artwork, like how basic, how straightforward it is. But I also like the complexity of the little things. She's got the Cow Skull is a whole series. This one's my favorite of all of them. There's something about it that screams Americana, that screams that, like, American dream coming up from the dirt. It's one that I can look at for a while and sort of reflect on and see a lot of different things and see there's a focal point with the cow, but then the color and the way it's used. Yeah, it's a fascinating drawing to me, and there's a lot of pictures of her, Georgia O'Keeffe, holding this cow skull that apparently she loved to paint.
This is definitely where we diverged. I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
It's too, I don't know, it gives me this negative vibe.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of creepy and kind of hopeful and kind of, again, I don't know, I get very, very Americana sort of vibes from that. So that's my number 3.
All right.
All
Number
right.
2.
My number 2 is probably my favorite artist, is Swans Reflecting Elephants by Salvador Dali. I really like this. I think it's something that I really connect with is the actual reflection. Like you see one thing, or like that cover we saw and then it's upside down, it's something else. I love this is one that I just want to keep looking at and find all the little things. It reminds me of like laying on the trampoline as a kid and looking at the clouds for hours at a time, and just finding all the different shapes. And just the more I look at this, the more I see, and the interconnectivity of all things. Is it a swan? Is it an elephant? Is it a tree? Or is it whatever you might see, a bunny rabbit, or, I see a person leaning up against a tree taking a rest, which I have a connection to. Just different things like that. So I just love looking at this and finding all the interconnectivity of the different elements.
All right.
That's a good one.
I like it a lot.
My number 2 has a very long name. Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Latte. By George, is it Surratt? I don't know how to pronounce his name. This one is best known because it's like a part of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But
I don't know if that's why it's best known.
Amongst
Like,
younger generations,
yeah.
100% that's
That
where they're
makes
going to know
sense.
this from. But I had this in one of my literature books. Literature books in school always have pictures of art in them because they're trying to make you appreciate it.
Yes.
And this one I always just looked at. I always thought, I want to be on this. It's like a time capsule.
Isn't this the one that's like pointillism or whatever?
Yeah, and I like pointillism. I think it's a cool
just
way to
like
take picture.
Literally
to do
like
art.
little dots. The whole thing is painted in little dots.
Oh, it's like a tattoo.
Oh, it's Jat, not my phone autocorrected it. Sorry, you're right. Jatta.
Not latte.
Not latte. You're right. Sorry. Anyway,
This is a good one. I like this a lot. I like the use of that shadow and the
it just makes me think it's like a different time period. Can you imagine? Like, you could not go see this today. There'd be 85 phones in there somewhere, and people don't just go out and sit
by the water. Just
by the
enjoy
water
the
on a Sunday afternoon.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I like this one a lot. So
This is a good picture. Yeah, I like this this painting a lot. That's a great one. All right, my number 2 is also from Salvador Dali, and this is The Persistence of Memory, which is my favorite from him. It's like kind of overplayed at this point, but I do like it quite a bit. Do you have it? Not have it? People know what it looks like.
Order.
I don't know. Anyway, people know
so
what
you
it
said-
looks like.
you said
The
reflections?
Persistence of Memory is the one with all the
Persistence, okay.
melting clocks. You've seen it.
oh, the melting clocks
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Not,
That's not that one.
That's
One of
the-
them got duplicated. It looks like it's fine. Go back to Camilla's Dali there. It's kind of like this one with more melting clocks.
Yeah.
I really like this one though. If I'd seen this, I would have probably considered it. I really like it. The Persistence of Memory has a really cool vibe to it, but it's kind of out there a lot. It's sort of like the Great Wave is out there a lot. And then there's also, which a lot of artists do, a lot of breakdowns of that painting. So even Dali did a lot of sort of versions and breakdowns and like geometric reimaginings of it. But I like it a lot. I think it's a cool study piece. And Dali was really good.
is it this one?
The persistence. Yes, it's the persistence.
It'll be the first.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the original.
I don't know how that happened.
That was fine.
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge, huge deal. Dali was very good at about drawing these things that you can stare at for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was really good about making them pixelated when he drew it so that you could really...
The more I stretch it, the better it gets.
the better it gets. Anyway.
See, again, this is another one. Like, you both like Dahlia, but man, he's so depressing. I don't like his stuff.
I love it. I love it too. So my favorite of this, I guess not really a series, but he does the reflections of a memory, and it's where he brings in the geometric shapes you're talking about.
Yeah.
I love that the physics meets the mental memory. The crosshair. So anyway, I think this is a fantastic pick. I love this. Again, what is now
It's a
kind of a series.
crossover. All right. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is probably the most well-known and well-used or most used piece of art in the world, I think, and
Mona
that's
Lisa.
Starry Night.
That's a
by
second.
Van
Mona
Gogh.
Lisa's probably number
Yeah.
1.
And I really, this one kind of makes me sad, I think, how overused it is, because I love it. I feel like I love the moon and the night sky. That's like one of my favorite things. I track the moon. I really enjoy it. But then elementally, I love wind as well. I just love the feeling of wind, and I feel like this captures that so well. It captures that really peaceful night with a full moon, a light breeze. Being in this setting is one of the most calming, peaceful like body experience for me. I absolutely love it, and that's what I take away from this. It's just a nice breeze with a clear sky that I could just stare at for hours. There's so much movement and feeling behind this to me. So.
I'm looking for the TARDIS exploding, but it's not on there.
Gosh, yeah, they repurpose this so much.
They really do.
They do, and that's what makes me so sad. It was like I almost didn't put it on because it's so overdone at this point.
But,
and it's like I almost get angry every time I see it on someone's bag. And I'm like, stop it, just let it be a piece of art, like bothers me. But
if you get a chance though, you should watch the Doctor Who episode about this painting.
Really?
It's about the artist. It's really good. It's a very, well, that's right. It has a bit of emotional manipulation, but I really liked it.
Oh, really?
It's really
Okay.
good. All right. My number one is a painting which I didn't know the name of, so I looked it up. It's called Breezing Up a Fair Wind. This is from Winslow Homer, American painter, and he does a lot of stuff. This painting I don't want to look at this negative stuff they're looking at. This is a picture of hope. This is hope.
The one I like from Homer is I like this painting quite a bit too, but there's another one from Homer where it's like a man, I forget what it's called now, over a broken boat trying to rescue a woman. I forget what it's called. So yeah, I guess I gravitate towards like the very dramatic ones. But this is very beautiful. I do like
these
Homer's
kids are
style.
having a great time. This is like, there's no school, there's no work. It's just you out there. I don't know. It just looks like I don't know. I like this. This is one that I don't normally would put famous paintings on my wall, but I would put this one up.
Yeah.
I just like how it looks. It makes me happy to look at it.
This makes a lot more sense in the principal's office.
He did redo it. He did redo this. I was reading about this, and there's like a follow-up painting with like a cyclone in the back. It's more depressing.
Really?
you know?
Really?
Oh, that's hilarious.
So,
Jeez.
anyhow, that's my favorite.
All right, so my number one is
The Scream.
I don't know what my number one is called, actually. It's from this artist, Oleg Shuplyak, I think, who's a Russian artist. And what he does is all his pieces are those where he draws a bunch of stuff and then you see like a face in it as well.
Oh,
and they
I like
fascinate me. So I'm not sure what this is called, this painting, but he's got like a bunch of them. And they're all like, he's got famous people, what have you. And now if you look at it from over here where we're sitting right now, or if you're far away, you just kind of see the face of a man. The closer you go, the more you see what it's made from. Trees on this side, a person on a small boat, what have you. There's a whole series of these. Like I said, he does basically this. And I really, really enjoy them. There's something fascinating about them, about this idea of working in the negative space, of doing, whatever you got to do to, like the things, what do you make them so that it's not like, oh, you're trying too hard to make it look like a human eye or whatever. But then when you get up close, it all kind of makes sense. I really find it just cool, and the use of light and shadow to make this work out. There's a lot of these, and so I had a fun time going down the list. Every time one of these pops up somewhere, I'm like, ooh, I love that. So I just picked one I really, really liked. But there's a lot if you want to check them out.
I like optical illusions in general.
Yeah. Or like I said, that multi-layered thing, where it's something here, or the swans, the elephants, things like that intertwining. And I think that's very similar. I like it.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. That is some famous pieces of art. Let us know what yours are in the comments. We'll be right back. All right, let's stick with art briefly here.
Okay.
So we're talking about famous art, and there's a lot of famous art. And when you talk about famous art, you can always show the pictures, and you know why? Because it's all so old, it's in public domain. People buy prints of these famous art pieces. They're in houses, and they're in a decent amount of games. Now, it happens more often in independent publishers, small publishers do it. And occasionally, the games are about art, which you can't argue that, right? If the game is about art, using public domain art
That makes sense.
makes
yeah.
sense,
Yes.
right? And you can do that. You can, if you play modern art, you can make a version of modern art with actual art, although then it would be modern art. But yes, you know.
Well, it should always have art. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
It would be
Public
modern.
domain. Yeah, public
Yeah.
domain art.
The Masterpiece used to have some pieces of art in it and things like that. I don't have a problem with that, but I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about using it in other games. Let's say we make a game about Napoleon, so you just start using different art pieces instead of hiring an artist to do the pictures.
I think it depends for me. I think it depends. The one that comes to my mind is Kayenta Games' Obsession, where he used, so the reason he did it and used all that public domain stuff was for the budget, but it also fits in the theme. They become the characters in the game and that you can play in the cards. And I'm okay with that. But if it's like, for example, Starry Night shows up in a game or something like that, I feel like it's going to take me out. It's going to bring me back to my world, and I'm going to lose the theme of the game. So for me, them using it, it really depends on, if it is about Napoleon, and some of the ones that they're showcasing in there are from scenes that, he might have had hanging on his wall, something like that, I'm fine with it. But if anything that removes from the theme and just feels, I hate to say a cheap cop-out, you know what I mean? But I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I think it's about, like you said, immersion, and if it breaks immersion, then I am, I'm no longer enjoying your game. In my head, I'm going, oh, you used free artwork, huh? I guess you had to cut on the budget somewhere. I guess I'll make this work in my head. I'm
Right.
like no longer thinking about the game. I'm thinking about you making the game.
Right.
And I shouldn't have that thought. It shouldn't come into it. I should flip over a card and read it and understand what it does, not, or look at a picture and be immersed, not the process behind getting there.
Yeah.
I think for anything that is about artwork, go to town. Anything else, if you're using imagery, it needs to tonally fit. I feel like sometimes a game doesn't really tonally fit, but uses these because, hey, it's free. And it also, you want to, I think, avoid particularly famous pieces of artwork, like
Right.
Starry Night.
Right.
Like if I look at a game and one of the cards I draw has the Mona Lisa on it, I'm like, I forgot what your game was about. I'm like, Mona Lisa.
Right.
Like, oh, what was I doing? You know what I mean? So the Napoleon thing, yeah, you could do that. You could use paintings of Napoleon, what have you. But if you do that one really famous one, Napoleon walking into wherever it is where he's standing there leaning back, I'm going to recognize that piece of artwork. And I'll
I saw
be
that
like,
piece. I was very excited.
yeah.
But here's my problems. One is when you use art, even if it does match the theme, unless it's all from the same artist, it throws me off because it's different kinds of art.
Again, breaks that immersion.
Yeah.
Right? Once again.
And so here's my question. If you say it's okay, hey, you're trying to save money, why is that okay, but not using, say, AI art? That also saves money.
Yeah, that's interesting.
In both cases, you're not paying an artist to do stuff for your game.
Correct, right, correct.
I know
Yeah.
there's other issues with AI art.
I think the problem with AI art, and this is the main argument I've heard, I don't know the validity of this because I don't follow it, but from what I understand, or what I've heard, AI art is like a computer program that has been taught or trained to crawl through the internet and absorb artwork and then monkey that artwork, right? Like imitate that artwork, I guess, or like use it in a mathematical way to make something new. And so I think the argument is not as much, oh, you're not paying an artist. The argument is this computer program is robbing a little bit from everybody.
I don't know how that's any different than a human brain doing the same thing, though.
Yeah.
But I before we get too far off, I'm not trying to jump in that argument. I'm just saying, if the argument you're making about AI art is it's free, then maybe we shouldn't
I think maybe
use modern art.
I think for me, the difference is AI art, I have a hard time with calling that art because it is an algorithmic output. It's more like a document. They compiled all these things and conglomerated together, as opposed to a human who is thinking creatively about it, actually creating something and making an expression. And so to use public domain, your artwork, you're using artwork that was created by somebody using as an expression of something that they felt or something that they liked or an idea, something like that. Whereas AI art, I just in general have a hard time with that being called art. It's a different output. It's a
Got it.
document.
Well, again, I don't want to get too much of an argument because that's like its own whole thing there. I think I drop any game that uses classical art by at least a point in my head because
I just don't like the look of it. It
doesn't
looks
look as-
immediately dated, for one thing, because, well, all the artwork is dated. There's something muted and sort of a little dusty about any game that uses this kind of look, wall to wall, and then that's the only way to use it. You either do that or you don't use it at all.
Right.
If your game has generally artwork, but then for like one image, you decided to go with like a stock photo, it reminds me of old TV shows where they would use stock footage to insert like this is supposed to be taking place on a I don't know, a fighter in the Indian Ocean, and they can't go there and actually film that, so they insert footage of like a fighter, you know, I don't know, a ship on the water, and it looks grainy and different. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Especially on a new TV. You look at it now and you go, oh, insert artwork. You know, they got that from a vault somewhere and put it in there. That's how I feel about this kind of artwork in a game. If it's all of it, the game looks dated and old and dusty. If it's one piece, I'm like, oh, that's from the mid-1800s, and the rest of this came out yesterday. It's awkward. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I agree with you. It kind of drops the whole vibe for me.
Well, anyway, just was wondering what y'all think about that. Let us know in the comments. Hey, we'll be back in a few hours to talk about with Mr. Mike DeLisio, who's on it.
He might be here.
He might be here.
Is
Are
he
you
here?
Mike?
Mike!
No.
No, he's not here. Okay.
Almost here.
Mike will be on the way to join us for our favorite game designers. We'll see you then. Until then, I'm Tom.
I'm Camilla.
I'm Z.
Have fun painting.
Yes.